Good morning, everybody. We're going to do something a little bit different today. This is the news podcast that I'm doing. I'm alone today, but I hope to have guests coming up soon. But I want to talk about the news, not just Linux news, but tech news in general, because it's something that I follow quite a bit, due to my day job, and I don't have a place to rant to people who actually know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it, because you guys like to hear my opinion, right? Anyway, we have big news coming out of Feral. Life is Strange Before the Storm launched today when I'm recording this. Valve have pushed the recent Proton changes to the Steam beta client, which is really cool, and Microsoft is abusing their power again. So yeah, hi, my name is Gardiner, and this is the news for Friday, September 14th, 2018. But first, a correction. In my previous video, I said that you need to opt into the Steam beta in order to get access to Steam Play and Proton. This isn't true. It wasn't true at the time that I was writing my video even, but I somehow missed that news. Yeah, and in fact, that leads us to our first story, because our first story is about Valve have pushed the latest version of Proton to the stable Steam client. And this is awesome because there's a few really cool changes in the changelog. Let's go ahead and check that out. So Valve have improved full screen games running at non-native resolutions. They've also added compatibility fixes for games that use Steam integration, so things like the Steam overlay and stuff like that. They've enabled by default automatically capturing mouse input in full screen windows, which is really cool. I had that issue with Doom, actually. They've also integrated Python 3, which removes the requirement to have Python 2 to be installed on your system. And full screen games should more consistently gain keyboard focus on Ubuntu with GNOME Shell. This can help with games that auto minimize on launch. So yeah, this is really cool news. I was actually really surprised by how fast Valve pushed Proton into the stable Linux client. It was something that I didn't expect. I expected it to go, along with Valve time. One of the things that I've seen a lot of people talking about recently is the fact that Valve seems to have turned a new leaf, at least in terms of their branding. If you go to their website and check out what they're doing now, it seems like they're trying to update their culture in a way that maybe means that we won't be seeing so much Valve time going forward. That's at least my infinitely optimistic hope. The idea that Valve can't count past 3, all these memes that surround Gabe and the team at Valve, I kind of want them to all fall away, and for Valve to just be better. That's what I want. I love Valve. I was getting really fed up with some of their crap earlier this year, but Proton is an amazing project, and I can't wait to see what other Linux projects they have that they've teased. So let's go on to the next story here. Feral Interactive have released Life is Strange Before the Storm, which is a sequel to Life is Strange. So it's a game developed by Deck 9 and published by Square Enix, and Feral have brought the game to Linux natively, which is really cool. So a couple things you should know. It's a story-centric adventure game, and I wasn't a huge fan of the first game. I thought that the first game was a little bit strange, and the story just felt, I don't know what the term would be. It felt a bit uncanny valley, just the way the characters talked to each other and the way that they just didn't seem to have any bearing on reality. I don't know. The game's, I'm talking about this game as if it needs to be realistic when you're in control of time. But still, I think that it's important for a game to have some semblance of believability. I don't know. But anyway, I wasn't a huge fan of the first game, so that's probably why Feral didn't give me a copy to review this time around. They normally hit me up with a key for every release of theirs, but this isn't really my game. And I'm not poo-pooing on the title at all. I mean, if this is your kind of game, then go at it and have fun. I mean, You can also, if you buy the game through Feral's website, you get a Steam key, and you help support them directly, which is great. So let's go over the minimum specs for this game, because it is kind of a AAA title. One of the things that I found really interesting is that the processor requirements for Windows versus Ubuntu are quite different. On Windows, the minimum required processor speed is 3.1 gigahertz. That's for an Intel Core i3. But on Linux, we have a Core i3 running at 2.9 gigahertz, which is just fantastic. It kind of shows where we're at in terms of optimization. Let's see, what else do we got? 4 gigabytes of RAM required, 2 gigabytes of VRAM with at least a GTX 680 or a 2 gigabyte AMD R927. That's the minimum requirements. The recommended requirements are going to be a Core i5 at 3.2 gigahertz, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 4 gigabytes of VRAM with a GTX 970 or a 4 gigabyte RX 470. And Intel integrated graphics are not supported on Linux. And, you know, I love it when Feral publishes games, because they always like publish top-notch stuff, you know. They are one of my favorite companies that publish for Linux. How many companies actually publish for Linux? You'd be surprised. All right, next, let's talk about Nextcloud, because Nextcloud is a recent obsession of mine. If you're watching the video version, you can see my server right up here, right back here. This is my server. I'm running Nextcloud 14 on it, which is the latest version, and I've been running Nextcloud for about 2 months, ever since I got, you know, fiber optic internet. And it's really cool. I think I was running version 13 when I started, and now I'm running 14. So the new version of Nextcloud, Nextcloud 14, focuses on UI and accessibility. And I have to say, that was one of the first things I noticed when I upgraded, was the fact that they had a dyslexia-specific font, which is really cool. I mean, my little brother has major dyslexia, to the point where he just tells people, I am illiterate, I can't read, because it's just easier than being like, I can read, but it's like really hard for me. So I just outed him as dyslexic. I don't think he cares, but I think it's really cool that they have this kind of accessibility level built into Nextcloud. I mean, I have dyslexia to a certain degree. I haven't tried using this font, but you know, I definitely, that's something I'm going to try pretty soon. A couple things that were broken, though, that kind of irritated me. Collabora seems to break on older versions of Firefox. It was weird, because what happened was I was at work I have an Ubuntu machine at work, so I'm running Collabora through Firefox, and all of a sudden I try to scroll down, and the whole page just decides to scroll. Not Collabora, but the page. Collabora was like 2 pages long, so like 200 VH, and scrolling down would scroll the entire body down, and then Collabora would scroll down. So and if you hit down on the cursor on the screen would move down until it was off screen, and the document wouldn't start to scroll until you reached the very bottom of the screen, which was outside the viewport of the browser. Anyway, that wasn't my favorite thing to break with the new version of Nextcloud, because Collabora is probably my favorite part of using Nextcloud, or it's like, it's up there with you know, controlling my own data and being able to access my data anywhere. Collabora is like my top next thing, because it allows me to de-Google myself, not having to use Google Docs, not having to use Google Drive. I love that. The other thing that broke, though, and I guess it didn't really break, it was just disabled because it's not compatible, is Nextcloud Passwords, which is the password manager app that you can get with Nextcloud. The fact that it's broken really sucks, because I spent like, I don't know, a good 7 hours like migrating all of my passwords from Firefox's password manager into the Nextcloud password manager. and now it's not working. So I'm hoping that the next version of the password app will fix its compatibility with version 14 of Nextcloud, but who knows? But anyway, that's been my experience so far. I really like the design changes. I like that the logo of that you set is slightly bigger than the rest of the title bar in Nextcloud. I like the small UI tweaks that they've made. I like that there's now a dark theme that you can enable, which is like, I love dark themes. But yeah, I mean, that's Nextcloud 14. It's pretty cool. I really like it. And I'm just hoping that compatibility gets updated with the password manager, and that Collabora kind of sorts itself out. But yeah, now for the most infuriating story of the day. Microsoft are interrupting Firefox and Chrome installations in order to pester you to use their inferior products again. Now, this doesn't affect us Linux users, except for that, it might encourage people to migrate away from Microsoft's products. Like, people get paid to do this. And now, what am I talking about? First of all, let me back up and explain what actually happened here. All right, so in the latest versions of Windows Insider, like Windows 10, like version 1984, I'm sorry, that was intentional. It was 1809 is the version number. We have reports coming out that if you install Windows and then you go into the browser, the built-in browser, which is Edge, and you type in Firefox or Chrome in the search, then the browser's like, hey, buddy, are you sure that you want to install one of my competitors' options? You got Clippy on the screen right here. Clippy is saying, you can use Edge, which is already built into your system, and it's safer on Windows 10. And all this nonsense, right? You can ignore that, and you can like muscle through the shakedown from Microsoft here, and you can go in and download Firefox or Chrome, and then you get the executable, and you double click on it, and then boop, it pops up on the screen, and it says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" This is Clippy again. He pops up. He's like, it looks like you're trying to install another browser. Microsoft actually creates its own browser. It's safer and better for Windows 10. It's called Edge. And then you can like click through that and ignore the shakedown yet again from Microsoft. The question is, isn't this like what they got slapped with an antitrust for in the 90s? Isn't it? How are they getting away with this now? And furthermore, how do you not see the total lockdown of Windows at this point? Like, I mean, seriously, if you're a Windows user and you're not afraid of the direction Windows is going, then are you even paying attention? Like, are you paying attention? Because this kind of thing is one step removed, as far as I'm concerned, from totally locking down your operating system and preventing you from getting software anywhere except from the Windows Store. I just don't see how people don't see that, This is just one more step in the wrong direction for Microsoft. I just don't see how this makes any sense. The fact that people get paid to do this, to harass you when you're trying to install software on your own computer. Like, I don't see why they have decided to do this. On Linux, you get freedom of choice. You can choose what software you want to use. If you want to use Google Chrome, you can use Google Chrome. There's nobody to stop you, and you can do whatever you want. On Windows, that is not the case anymore. Or it's slowly becoming the norm for you to not be able to make these decisions on your own. How are we going to move forward as a species? How can we move beyond this? I don't know. Anyway, that's my weird news roundup for September 14th is today. I want to know what you think about it. If you think it'd be cool to have this as like a feature of the channel, hit me up in the comments and let me know, or you can let me know on Twitter at the Linux Gamer. If you believe in the work that I do, you can support the show with a monthly contribution over on Patreon, or you can pick up a t-shirt. There's a link in the description. But no matter what you do, whether you hit that like button or share this video with your friends, don't forget to subscribe to see more from me, the Linux Gamer. And as always, thanks for watching. Or listening.